Hi, you said your name is DeMonte?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for doing this interview. I appreciate it, man. On a scale of 1 to 10, how open-minded would you say you are?
9.
9? All right,
Nine.
cool. Do you think you should look at both sides of an argument before you make a decision on something?
Pretty much. There's always two sides to a story.
All right, cool. Do you trust your senses? Like crossing the street, driving a car?
Definitely.
All right. Do you trust the government?
Not necessarily. Some things they make seem look right, but sometimes it's not really right. It depends on who it is, what it is, depending on it could be anything, healthcare, childcare, housing, stuff like that. They make it seem like it's one thing when it's really another sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta pick and choose the government.
Yeah,
That's kind of how I am with them. How do you think everything came to be? Do you think like Big Bang, creationism, or you don't really have a belief?
I mean, to be honest, I really don't know. It's like you read one thing, you see another. It's like they said, it was only what 9 planets at first. Now we got a whole nother like 13 more planets. So it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, who says what created this?
I'm with you. All right. Do you think the majority is always right?
Not necessarily. And the reason I believe that, we could be in the middle of a situation and I could literally have the right answer, but the majority of people would never agree. It's like a work problem. Like if you was working, let's say corporate office, somebody suggests something that may work and it actually does work because they've tried it, but then they try it to show people and people be like, nah, that's not gonna work, this would be better. It's like a coin toss, basically.
I gotcha. What would be your definition of science? Kind of broad question, I know.
Something artificially created.
Artificial created?
Like AI, like the AI stuff. If you recently seen like the music that the AI has been creating, like they made one with Drake. They did one with I think Taylor Swift and like Lil Wayne, just a few artists to make you think. Most of them artists has already sued the companies or the people that did it. So it's like stuff could be made. They already literally made produce, like artificial produce that they already approved that they're gonna sell in the store. So it's like you never know what you're gonna be eating.
Yeah.
So it's like way crazy.
There's a ton of science.
Yeah, definitely science for sure.
Yeah. Would you agree with me, like the core of science, it should be observable, measurable, testable, and repeatable? Like created in a lab, you should be able to see it, or?
I believe we should be able to see what they're creating as far as stuff that has to involve us. Like, I don't think they should hide that from us. Because at the end of the day, what are you really trying to hide? Y'all already got the money. Y'all got billions of dollars. And y'all just do whatever y'all want. Y'all basically like create y'all own toys at this point.
Yeah. All right. Do you think science should ever be a closed field? Like me, but the question is, do you think you should not be able to question anything? Like some.
I think we should be able to question things because it's like, at the end of the day, we don't really know who or what made everything. Like animals could be made from out the blue, out of nowhere. You never know. Like, as far as things goes, I really believe that something in the universe really created all this. Even though man made building, some way, somehow, I believe that like a lot of this stuff was really created by something, but we don't know what. Like they say, it's creatures under the water, deep down under the water.
Yeah.
So you would never know what's really there. Like we see the whales, we see the dolphins, we see stuff like male dolphins turn pink and stuff like that. Like I literally be on YouTube watching videos of this stuff while I'm at home. Sometimes I literally come down here and see stuff I never believed.
All right, cool. All right. To you, what's the difference between a belief and a knowing?
Okay, I'm gonna use something that I like, basketball reference. We know Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Some would say that. Some say
I'd probably agree with you on that, man. But
Yeah.
I mean, some other people,
exactly.
there'd be debates for it.
That'd be Bill Russell. He got a certain amount of rings, stuff like that. Everybody in the, let's say, 80s, 90s, early 90s, because I was born in 91, and before that, all believe Michael Jordan is the best player. Me, in my eyes, I believe that LeBron is the best player. I'm knowing he the best player because the stat shows
All
he's
right.
passed Michael Jordan in pretty much everything at this point, except rings.
Rings.
So
Scoring titles. And
Yeah.
We could go back and forth on that.
Exactly.
But I'm
But that's
born before you, man. So I mean.
yeah, so
I
that's
was-
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Certain people believe, some people be knowing. Some people, the people that so-called know who the best player is, it be the ones that never played the sport.
Yeah. But I'd say like, well, you believe LeBron's the best and whatever. I say Michael Jordan's the best. So, you know, my
Exactly.
belief. I'd say that's an example of belief. Would you agree with me that a knowing would be that there's two people here talking right now? That's a knowing.
Yeah, because we're
That's-
here.
that's
We're
100%
we're
right.
literally right here.
As opposed to like the Jordan and the LeBron. That's like a belief. That's a belief.
Now, knowing is me and you sitting here, we having this conversation, we're actually talking. That's a knowing.
That's a knowing. All right, cool. We're on the same page. All right. Well, this is where the topic kind of goes off, man. Like I said, 95% of the people believe the opposite of what I'm pushing, but like since it's been going on for about 8, 9, probably 2015 or so, and more. It's at first I heard the subject and I thought it was really, really ridiculous, and I didn't even want to look at it, but I looked at it because you think you should look. You already said you should look both sides of the argument before you make a decision. So I'm just gonna ask you, man. What shape do you think the Earth is? Do you think it's flat, an oblate spheroid like you've always been taught, without form, or do you think it's another type of shape?
Okay, now this is crazy because we're always taught that the earth is round and it spins in a rotation like a ball. But if that's the case, hear me out, if that's the case, the North Pole is upwards, Antarctica is
South.
south. How is it that people can literally be in Antarctica if the world is round?
Well, I mean, they tell you gravity's holding them upside down and whatnot.
Exactly. So it's like, it's a catch. It's literally, like I said, it's 50-50. It's a flip of a coin. 9 times out of 10, some people believe it's round. Some people believe it's flat. Some people would be like, it's a cube.
So what would you say your belief is?
Can't even lie. I never really even thought about it at all. Except when I was in school, and they always told us that the earth was round.
You talk about people used to believe in it and they'd fall off an edge and stuff like that. Or something.
Exactly. They like, if you go to a certain point of the earth, you will fall off. But I mean, who's to say that the earth is round, the earth is flat? I mean, if your imagination run wild, it could be anything. It could be rectangle, square, triangle, but we'll never know.
You never know. Yeah,
Never
unless
know.
we go out to space, I guess, to see it with our own eyes.
You got to, but who's to say you will come back?
Yeah, true. Fair.
Submarine.
Yeah. Well,
The submarine thing though to me was kind of odd.
submarine.
Yeah,
What?
that submarine, them people
with them
missing was
people in
kind of
it?
odd.
That was kind of a weird scenario.
Because you got a father and son on there. The father worth millions, maybe billions. Then you got like 4 other people on there in that small submarine, and they claim that the controller for the vehicle was a video game controller.
Some things don't really add up. Like I said, I don't trust everything we get fed by the media, man.
But that's why when you pose the question, is the earth round or is it flat or anything? At this point, I'm 31 years old and I never thought about that until you posed that question just now. And
you never heard about people kind of debating it or whatever?
No, I heard of people debating it because Kyrie says the earth, he the main one that says the earth is flat, but everyone has their beliefs of what really is, like UFOs.
Yeah. I mean, I never seen one. I'm not saying they're real or not. You know, who knows?
People be like, the only way you would actually really see a UFO is if you were in a farm or a cornfield or something like that.
Yeah, I was actually looking at probably a couple years before Kyrie, and what really kind of flipped my switch on it was when Kyrie came out and said it. I was like, man, he's gonna get ridiculed, but props to him, man, because I mean he's gonna get.
And he stood on everything.
Well, the thing that flipped me, it wasn't just because he said it. Was the next day I went to work and the guy said, "Hey, man, did you hear? After he said it, the media put out and whatever." The first time in the history they found 6 Earth-like planets, and to me that was like, that's kind of like a counterpunch. This really famous guy saying, "Hey, check out this theory. Hey, we're gonna tell you about 6 Earth-like planets. Don't listen to this dumbass over here.
And then
we're gonna tell you 6 Earth-like planets, so you can't verify for yourself or nothing like that."
And then before that, they said it was 13 more planets. Yeah. Before they said it was 6 Earths, and then if you actually think about it, the comedian Cat Williams. He talked about that. He talked about how they said it was a super Earth where the oxygen is basically the same or a little bit better than the actual oxygen on Earth, where people can actually live, and they started to so-called create different like spaceships or things that can actually reach those planets. Yeah. So if anything ever happened on Earth, they'd be able to just. But it wouldn't be necessarily us. It would be more of so-called the more important people as far as like the government, personal chefs and stuff like that. So they like, it possibly can be, but who's to say it really is? Yeah,
I kind of almost think they fake the moon missions and whatever, and they fake the stuff so they could possibly be hiding more land. Have you ever heard of something called the Antarctic Treaty before? It's basically Antarctica is a sovereign nation, and they made it a sovereign nation right during the space race. Like basically, so like no one can lay claim to it. And some people think like I'm not claiming there's a huge ice wall around us or something like that, but some people believe like that. Some people believe there's just more land, possibly other like geothermal ponds, like other like paradises that they're hiding from people.
They also said that there's like this certain, I'm thinking it may be a triangle portion of land or a city where 2 states literally can't claim it, and they could basically, there's no law.
Yeah, that's well, Antarctica sovereign, no one can claim it. It's like all these countries are lined up with it.
It's another one. It's another one. I forgot what states is between. It's literally like a big piece of land where nobody can claim, where everything is legal.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird, like certain things that I read about or I see on Facebook, Instagram, as far as the government goes, as far as anything that has to do with life itself. It's mind-boggling. It
is. When you think about the subject, like there are some scientists going against it, because I mean new information came out about this subject here. And most people, the first thing you hear is you're going to ridicule it, because, I mean, you're always taught, and you're thinking it's common sense. My buddy came to me saying, and I was like, man, you're crazy. What, you touched by God or something, man? Like, we know there's a ball. There's so many pictures, so what's proof? And so I looked at the other side, and it kind of put me down hard, man, because main thing that people get to is, you know, anything like about fluid dynamics, how liquids behave? Like, would you agree with me this? Like, in our reality, it's a self-evident fact. Any liquid will take the shape of its container and level out. Like water, it always takes the shape of its container. I'll put it in a pool, put it in a cup, put it in a bath.
Technically, yeah. But it always, I think it depends on how much you put in there. If that kind of makes sense.
Like, well, if you fill up your bath like a little more, it's still not going to level out?
No, if you do, it does level out. But the thing is, once you get in it, it definitely goes
Well, once
up.
you get in it, it's gonna rise.
It's
or
gonna
other
rise.
stuff.
So
Yeah,
it's like you have to put a certain amount of water in there, but
Yeah.
it does take the shape of whatever it is.
in our
Yeah,
reality.
it technically does.
So like, they tell us our Earth's covered in over 72% water, and if water always levels out, how could it be a sphere? You think?
Now that's a good question because technically,
I mean, look at this river here.
yeah,
It's
it is
contained.
long. It's all
It's
the way
long.
down there to all the way down there, and it's like
And it's level.
it's level, and we don't know what's literally down under it. It's
Have-
just like maybe we're just floating.
Have you ever seen? Would you think you'd be able to give me an example of water conforming to the exterior of a shape? I've never gotten an answer on this, so I mean,
On the outside of anything that's formed.
because you'd have to believe in a globular Earth, you have to believe water's bending and holding form around the Earth, right?
I mean, that's like saying if you put a, technically not necessarily, because if you put a cup in some water that's on a table and you put it in the middle of the water, technically it doesn't. It
It's
doesn't.
going to. Like you're saying, but if you put it like in, say, in a fish tank and you drop a cup in there, it's conforming to the exterior of it.
It's not gonna. It's not gonna conform because it's still gonna be the shape of whatever it is.
Yeah, so it's the water always takes the shape of its container.
Yeah.
So-
So if it's in the container, it's gonna take the shape. But if it's out of the container, like putting water on top of a puddle,
Yeah,
it's not gonna necessarily form the actual shape. It's just the fact that the exterior of the actual water is pretty much forming on its own. That's like if it moves or if you bang on the table and the water moves, it'll make its own bubble.
all right. Yeah, I'm with you. All right. Another point I like that because no one can ever show you water conforming to the exterior of the shape. Do you think we breathe the same stuff in space? Like if you're next to ISS or something, you think they're breathing what we're breathing right now? If you had no suit on or nothing?
No, because I mean, they always tell us that in space you can't breathe the air quality in space without actually having a spacesuit. So it's like
Yeah.
at this point, what is there? What can we really believe
Yeah.
if we never tried it ourselves or they never tried it at all? It's just like you said, the landing.
Yeah.
They probably faked it. So it's
I'm
a
of the opinion they
possibility.
faked the 6
Yeah,
month
it's
mission.
a possibility. It's a possibility. Anything's possible.
Oh, you're fine. Oh my god. Alright. Well, this is the thing I like to go to the natural science because basically what they tell us is space is a vacuum, and it's like it's not a perfect negative pressure system, but it's as close as we can get. So have you ever used like a pressurized deodorant canister before, and where you spray your armpits, like or
You talk about like Axe or
Yeah, something
Old
like
Spice
that.
or something like that? No,
well, you know what it is though. So
Yeah.
if you it needs to keep negative pressure in there. You need like a solid barrier.
mm,
And so basically if you puncture it, air's going to come out of it, right? So another thing with like natural science that I'm using here is they're telling us our atmosphere is adjacent to the vacuum of space without a solid barrier. So would you be able to give me an example of two separate pressurized environments, a positive pressure system against a negative pressure system without a solid barrier? Because we got to take a big leap of faith that water can bend and hold form, and nowhere in our reality shows that. And we got to take a big leap of faith that two opposing pressure systems can exist side by side without a solid barrier.
I'm not sure I can actually give an example of that.
I've done like 30 of these interviews. I've never got one, man. So don't feel bad, but I can't give you one
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
if you think about it. You want me to go over the Can I go over the clip? You know what the difference between the eclipses are, real quick? You know what the difference between like solar and lunar eclipse is?
Yep. When they cover the moon. Where it's
All
like
right.
the
The
moon covered.
solar eclipse is when the moon covers the sun,
Mhm.
and then the lunar eclipse is basically you hold your hands out like this, straight, both hands. Let's say the Earth's in between both your hands here.
Mhm.
Sun's on one side, moon's on the other. It's always dark on the side where the moon's at. They're going to tell you, if you believe in the ball Earth or the heliocentric model, that the sun's casting its shadow on the Earth, and it's putting that curved surface on the moon. But would you agree the sun's round? from our perspective at least. How it looks. I mean, we're
I
not
mean, from
the way it looks. I mean, we ain't supposed to look at it too much, but it looks round. Basically, everything is
like if
round.
you like from what I'm looking at, it does look kind of roundish, but it also has that exterior where it's like a star. So it's like a spear within a star.
I hear you. But well, in this theory here, what we're saying is basically the sun, like I said, is across from that side and that. It's kind of like, I don't know, we kind of say space and time might not bend, relativity, because they can prove like things fall at a certain speed, 9.8 meters per second squared gravity, and things, they can measure stuff fall that. But I say just because things fall at that speed doesn't really prove the shape or anything to me. And in this theory, we're saying the sun, it's actually the sun that's actually causing that curved shadow on the moon, actually.
And it's possible too because of the simple fact that if the Earth is technically spinning and the sun is on the other side of the Earth, mainly Japan and all that, while we're at night, I mean, it technically makes sense a little bit.
Well, or if I'm saying there's nothing in between the Earth and the sun, the Earth's a stationary level plane, and the sun's over here, and it's a local source, and the moon's a local source, because I mean, but basically when you look at the sun and the moon, they look about the same size from our perspective, don't they? Coincidentally?
Yeah.
From our perspective, just not there.
From our perspective, technically, looking at the sun, it pretty much looks like a spear, just like they say the moon is.
Yeah.
And
It looks things. I mean, a solar eclipse when the moon goes in front of the sun shows that they're basically the same size too. I mean,
exactly. So it's like two sides of the sun. It's like two sides of a coin, pretty much.
all right, well, here's some answers they'll say that prove that the Earth's like a round ball. But I think, like I said, I think gravity's based off like a false axiom, basically, and things happen because different things, basically. Some people say like the ether or electromagnetism, but either way, have you ever heard the North Star before? Polaris.
Yes.
It's right above the North Pole. I'd say it's like right in the center of us, and it's a fact. You can look at it at a time lapse. It's stationary and it vibrates a little bit, but everything does, all the stars and everything do perfect geocentric circles around it, basically. So this theory basically states that everything's spinning around us and it's causing the Coriolis effect in each part of the world. The moon would push the tides, the sun would contract the tides, and they say if you like shoot a long range shot west, the bullet will bounce down. That's when the sun's there. I say take a long range shot west at nighttime when the moon's there, and that bullet will bounce up. And like I said, the lunar eclipse is actually the sun blocking out the moon. You think you'd be able to prove me wrong on that, or no?
I really think about it. Not really, unless you actually do like extensive research to actually try to prove it wrong. Because if you already have clear knowledge or certain information on that per se, and I don't, I would have to technically do my research in order to find out if you're actually right or wrong. But if it comes out to be that you're actually right, which scientists claim they can actually prove that, then it's like, then you're right, and I'm like,
Well, you said you're 50-50, so
yeah,
it's I'm gonna mention it. It's, to me, I'll still admit it's a belief on my part that whatever. I don't claim to actually really know what shape the Earth is. I just don't believe it's. I think we're being lied to about what space is, basically. And
yeah,
I think
it's
like,
weird.
I mean,
It's weird. Like I said, the only way we can find out is unless we go there ourselves.
yeah.
And who's to say we can actually do that?
Well, maybe
I
we
mean,
can. I mean,
the rockets go in the air, then next thing you know they disappear, but then we be like,
do we know where they're really going exactly? I
they
mean,
say the space station is in what, Houston, Texas or something like
Houston's one of them, and they got one in Florida too, or whatever.
that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, who's to say who's right and who's wrong at this point?
Yeah. You know what a logical fallacy is? Or can I give you an example one real quick?
Give me a
If we went to a tennis court right now and I took 15 tennis balls out and I threw them all over the tennis court, would that turn the tennis court into a round ball?
No.
So just because you see circles in the sky, does that mean the Earth's a ball?
Not necessarily.
No. All right, man. You've been a perfect interview, man. I appreciate this. Appreciate the time. I appreciate it, man.
I
Thanks.
appreciate your time too.
No,
I
thank you.
learned something here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if you want.